Bakugan is back and almost completely different. Welcome to HiveState. So whenever I was younger, Bakugan is a game that I used to kind of obsess over, and whenever I started hearing rumors about a new reboot, I started going through all of my old stuff. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Bakugan Battle Planet. If you have absolutely no idea what Bakugan is, it's a game that uses little marble-like balls that rolls into battle and pops into these big creatures. But really that's just the idea, the concept. Let's move on to the actual gist of the game. And in saying that, I do need to state this is not a how to play video, this is only the gist. Bakugan is a game that uses 3 Bakugan, 6 Baku cores, and a 40-card deck. Players will begin by building something called the Hide Matrix. It's where each player takes turn placing out their Baku cores one at a time until both players have placed a total of 12 onto the field. And at this point the game does something a little unique. Like a lot of online card games, in Bakugan both players take their turns at the same time. You draw cards at the same time, you can charge energy at the same time, and whenever it gets to that point, you even do a countdown and roll your Bakugan at the same time. Now you may be asking, how do you win? Well, whenever you're playing Bakugan and it's time to roll, a couple things can happen. If one Bakugan opens, that player just automatically wins the battle and deals damage. But if both Bakugan open, a battle happens. During a battle is where both you and your opponent can be playing cards to try and raise your Bakugan's B power, because the highest B power wins the battle. And if you're the victorious player, you'll then start to mill cards off the top of your opponent's deck equal to your damage rating. If you're able to deal just 1 point of damage after your opponent has no deck, you win. And that is the very basics of Bakugan. So let's move on to first impressions. Now, I have high hopes for this game, but the one place that I'm kind of iffy on is organized play. Back in the day, Toys R Us was where you'd go for all of your tournaments, whether it be every few months that they'd have one, but it still gave you a place to go and play with other players. Well, we don't have Toys R Us anymore, and as far as I've asked, most card shops can't carry Bakugan. So in saying that, Spin Master, if on the off chance you are listening to this, please find some way to give us organized play. I know for a fact that I wouldn't be the only person who really wants this for the game, and we would really appreciate this. But let's move on and actually talk about the game a little more, shall we? So the rules for this game are moderately simple, but even so, there is so much strategy that goes into it before you even place your very first Baku core. When you're building your deck, the Bakugan you choose to play with will directly coincide with the cards you're allowed to use in your deck. The factions you choose are the only factions you can include. This puts you in some unique situations whenever specific cards get better when you're using the same faction. But using all of the same faction will limit you the cards that you need. I'm also a really big fan of the way the Bakugan game does energy. Unlike some card games that you have to have specific cards for energy, and if you don't draw them, you're just kind of out of luck. In Bakugan, it uses the method to where any card can be used as an energy card. All you have to do is play it face down in your energy area. This works especially well with flip cards. I don't believe I explained flip cards earlier. When you're taking damage in Bakugan, you have a chance to flip a flip card off the top of your deck. If you do, this is the moment that you can play it. You can spend any energy you have left to activate its ability. But in your hand, a flip card is technically useless. Granted, a useless card in hand isn't really useless in this game. It's just a way to gain energy without having to worry about getting rid of your good cards. It really is a great way to balance out the flip cards in your deck. It gives them another purpose. But actually, while I'm talking on flip cards, I'd like to talk a little bit more about them, specifically the ones that stop damage. So whenever I was first looking at these, I have to admit, I did not like them. I thought they would be adding a random mechanic to the game that kind of would be a little game breaking, but I think I was wrong. So the better the stop card is, the more expensive it is to play. And this puts you in some neat situations. Whenever you're playing during the battle part of your turn, you're trying to spend energy to get your B power up. Well, do you do that and leave your energy depleted? So if something happened where you lost the battle, you'd be taking all this damage without a way to stop it. It creates a careful balance that I very much enjoy. And the last thing I want to talk about is the win condition. I'm normally not a huge fan of games that has deck out as the victory condition, but with Bakugan, I think it just might work. In most cases, the more cards you draw, the better, unless you're playing against a mill deck, but there's no risk normally. But whenever your deck is your health, the more cards you draw, you're just getting one step closer to losing the game. However, in Bakugan, you don't instantly lose as soon as you draw that last card. You still have to take 1 point of damage. So you could, in theory, go 4, 5, 6 turns without being able to draw a single card and win by decking out your opponent and dealing that 1 extra damage. That one little change, in my opinion, makes this victory condition so much better than just decking out. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this overview and first impressions for Bakugan Battle Planet. If you like Bakugan as much as I do, well, I got something a little special for you. So I've created a second channel and it's live right now. There's also a partner video to this video that is a comparison between the new Bakugan and the old Bakugan. So if you're interested in either, there's a card and a link in the description. Also, if you're interested in more board game, card game, or miniature content, make sure to subscribe here and ring that bell. But whether you do or whether you don't, you'll see me when you see me.